I never knew Karen was this bad, to the extent of demolishing my sweat, the bar garden. Picture this, you've just moved into your dream home, a beautiful property in an upscale neighborhood. The sun is shining, birds are chirping, and you're filled with hope for a bright future. But what if I told you that beneath this idyllic facade lurked a nightmare of racial hatred and property destruction? A nightmare that would shatter the American dream and test the very limits of justice? Before we continue, tell us where you're watching from in the comment section, and don't forget to like, comment, and hit the subscribe button for more of these gripping stories. This isn't some far-fetched Hollywood script. This is our stories, the story of Tonka and Terrence Waters, a black couple who dared to seek their slice of suburban paradise in the preserved subdivision. Little did we know that our arrival would ignite a firestorm of bigotry, culminating in an act of vandalism so brazen it would make your blood boil. Imagine waking up one morning to find your lovingly tended bar garden a sanctuary of relaxation and joy reduced to rubble. Not by some freak accident or natural disaster, but by the deliberate actions of a neighbor. A neighbor driven by nothing more than the color of our skin. This is a tale that will challenge your faith in humanity, push the boundaries of what you thought possible in modern America, and ultimately, reveal the power of perseverance in the face of unimaginable adversity. It's a story of how we fought back against racism, stood up for our rights, and brought a racist HOA Karen to justice. As we embark on this journey together, I want you to ask yourself, what would you do if faced with such blatant discrimination? How far would you go to protect your home, your dignity, and your very right to exist in a place you've chosen to call your own? Buckle up, because this roller coaster of emotions is about to take you through the highs of hope, the lows of despair, and the triumphant climb back to justice. This is more than just our story, it's a microcosm of the ongoing struggle for equality in America, played out in the seemingly peaceful streets of a suburban neighborhood. Are you ready to have your assumptions challenged? To witness the ugly face of racism hiding behind manicured lawns and homeowners association rules? To see how the law can be both a weapon and a shield in the fight for what's right? Then lean in close, because this is a story you won't soon forget. A story that proves that sometimes the most important battles for civil rights aren't fought in courtrooms or on the streets of major cities, but in the backyards of ordinary Americans like you and me. This is the story of how we stood up to a racist HOA Karen, rebuilt what she destroyed, and in the process, exposed the insidious nature of prejudice that still plagues our society. It's a story of resilience, of justice, and ultimately, of hope. So, are you with us? Are you ready to witness firsthand how we turned destruction into triumph, and how we made Karen pay, quite literally, for her actions? Now, let's dive into the events that would forever change our lives and challenge the very fabric of our community. Tonka and Terrence Waters, an African-American couple, embarked on their journey to build their dream home in the preserve at Bridgewater, a picturesque subdivision in Kokomo, Indiana. In June 2013, they purchased 2 lots, filled with hope and excitement for their future. Little did they know that their dream would soon be tainted by an unexpected nightmare. The preserve, a seemingly idyllic neighborhood, boasted well-manicured lawns and a tight-knit community governed by a homeowners association, HOA. This HOA, like many others, had an architectural control committee responsible for maintaining the aesthetic standards of the community. The Waters, eager to become part of this community, began construction on their home in 2015. At the heart of the Waters ordeal were Ed and Kate Momariel, a couple who held significant influence within the HOA. Kate Momariel served as the HOA president when the Waters initially purchased their property, with her husband Ed taking over the presidency in the summer of 2015. From the moment the Waters broke ground on their new home, the Momariels made their presence felt in the most unsettling way. Terrence Waters, a veteran, carried with him the invisible scars of his military service. Diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, after a harrowing experience of being trapped in a cave with a dog, Terrence's condition was further exacerbated by a terminal lung condition that heightened his reactivity to dogs. His doctors advised that a privacy fence could help mitigate his PTSD triggers, setting the stage for a contentious battle with the HOA. Adding to the water's growing list of concerns was an issue that might seem trivial to some but spoke volumes about the underlying tensions in the neighborhood. The Momorial's cats, in violation of HOA rules, frequently roamed onto the water's property. This seemingly minor nuisance would soon escalate into a flashpoint of racial hostility. As the Waters settled into their new home in December 2015, they found themselves not just the newest residents of the preserve, but also the only African-American family in the subdivision. What should have been a time of joy and new beginnings quickly devolved into a struggle against prejudice and discrimination. How would you react if your dream home turned into a nightmare because of racist neighbors? Would you stand and fight for your rights, or would the stress of constant confrontation drive you to seek peace elsewhere? Our story takes a dark turn as we delve into the confrontations that would come to define our experience in the preserve. From the moment we set foot in our new home, it became clear that not everyone welcomed our presence. Kate Momorial, then the president of the HOA, made her stance painfully clear. Her words, dripping with venom, would echo in our minds for years to come. "Why did you people move here?" she spat, her eyes narrowing as she took in the sight of our family. Ed Momorial, Kate's husband and future HOA president, took it upon himself to investigate us. As if our mere presence warranted scrutiny, he approached us with an air of suspicion. "You could have moved somewhere else," he said, his words barely masking the implication that we didn't belong. The situation quickly spiraled out of control. What started as thinly veiled hostilities soon erupted into blatant racism. Kate's use of racial slurs became more frequent and aggressive. In March 2016, after we called the Humane Society about their roaming cats, Kate unleashed a tirade of racial epithets, calling Tonka a black bitch and a black N. Then came the day that would push us to our breaking point. We had lovingly cultivated a bar garden, a small oasis of peace in our new home. Without warning or permission, Karen took it upon herself to demolish our garden. The destruction of our property was a clear message: we were not welcome here. Even simple pleasures became battlegrounds. One day, we attempted to enjoy a family meal outside our home. The Momorials, seeing us, couldn't resist the opportunity to harass us further. Their intrusion turned what should have been a peaceful family moment into yet another confrontation. At what point do you think the Waters realized this wasn't just a neighborly dispute? Perhaps it was when Ed first suggested we didn't belong, or when Kate hurled racial slurs at us. Maybe it was the day we found our bar garden in ruins. But one thing was certain: this was far more than a simple disagreement between neighbors. This was a systematic attempt to make us feel unwelcome and unsafe in our own home. As the incidents piled up, we began to understand the true nature of what we were facing. This wasn't just about differing opinions or lifestyles. This was about the color of our skin, about deeply ingrained prejudices that some of our neighbors couldn't or wouldn't overcome. The realization was both chilling and infuriating. We had come to the preserve seeking a home, a community. Instead, we found ourselves in a battle for our very right to exist in this space. But as the confrontations escalated, so did our resolve. We knew that backing down wasn't an option. This was our home, and we were prepared to fight for it. After enduring years of harassment and discrimination, we knew we had to take a stand. The destruction of our bar garden was the final straw. We decided to pursue legal action, not just for ourselves, but for all those who have faced similar injustices in their communities. In our pursuit of justice, we filed claims under two crucial pieces of legislation. 1. The Fair Housing Act, FHA, specifically under 42 U.S.C. Section 3617, which prohibits interference, coercion, or intimidation in housing rights. 2. 42 U.S.C. Section 1982, which guarantees all citizens equal property rights regardless of race. These laws became our weapons in the fight against the discrimination we faced. Our journey through the legal system was far from smooth. Initially, the U.S. District Court granted summary judgment in favor of the HOA and the Momorials, dismissing our claims. This setback was disheartening, but we refused to give up. We took our case to the U.S. Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals, determined to have our voices heard. On September 12, 2022, the appeals court issued a pivotal ruling. In a 2-to-1 decision, the court revived part of our lawsuit. While they didn't allow our claims against the HOA to proceed, they ruled that our discrimination claims against the Memorials could go to trial. The court recognized that even though we weren't forced from our home, a jury could reasonably conclude that the Memorials' pattern of harassment interfered with our enjoyment of our property. This decision validated our experiences and opened the door for us to seek justice. While the legal battle is ongoing, one tangible result of our fight is that Karen will be held accountable for her actions. She will be obligated to pay for rebuilding the bar garden she so callously destroyed. This small victory serves as a powerful symbol of our resilience and determination. How do you think this legal battle might impact other HOAs and communities across the country? This case could have far-reaching implications for HOAs and communities nationwide. It sends a clear message that racist behavior and discrimination in housing communities will not be tolerated, even when it doesn't result in forced eviction. The ruling emphasizes that interference with the enjoyment of one's property based on race is a violation of fair housing laws. Moreover, this case highlights the need for HOAs to be vigilant about discriminatory behavior among their members and to take proactive steps to ensure all residents can enjoy their homes free from harassment. It may prompt HOAs to review and strengthen their anti-discrimination policies and enforcement procedures. Ultimately, our legal battle could empower other victims of housing discrimination to come forward and seek justice, knowing that the law can protect their right to peaceful enjoyment of their homes, regardless of their race or background. Our story isn't just about us, it's about every person who has faced discrimination in their community. If you're watching this and have experienced or witnessed housing discrimination, we urge you to take action. 1. Report it. Contact the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, to file a complaint. You can do this online, by phone, or by mail. 2. Document everything. Keep detailed records of all incidents, including dates, times, and what was said or done. 3. Know your rights. Familiarize yourself with the Fair Housing Act and other relevant laws. Knowledge is power in these situations. 4. Seek support. Reach out to local civil rights organizations or fair housing groups. You don't have to face this alone. 5. Speak up. If you witness discrimination in your community, don't stay silent. Stand with your neighbors against injustice. Remember, change starts with each of us. By standing up against racism and discrimination, we can create safer, more inclusive communities for everyone. Our journey through this ordeal has been challenging, but it has also reinforced our belief in the importance of fair housing laws and community solidarity. These laws aren't just words on paper, they're vital protections that ensure everyone has the right to live where they choose, free from harassment and discrimination. But laws alone aren't enough. True change comes when communities stand together against injustice. When neighbors support each other, regardless of race or background, we create the kind of world we all want to live in. Our story is still unfolding, but we hope it serves as both a warning and an inspiration. A warning that racism and discrimination still exist in our communities, often hiding behind seemingly innocuous structures like HOAs. And an inspiration that when we stand up for what's right, when we refuse to be silenced or driven out, we can make a difference. As we continue our fight for justice, we're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for every family that dreams of a home where they can live in peace and dignity. We're fighting for a future where no one has to endure what we've been through. So we ask you, what will you do to make your community more inclusive? How will you stand up against discrimination when you see it? Because it's only by working together that we can build the just and equitable society we all deserve. Thank you for listening to our story. Remember, your voice matters. Your actions matter. Together, we can make a difference. And don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more.